Hey, hello everyone, or anyone. How's that? Uh, Thought I'd come on here today. It's a little tough one because I keep coming on here with a very little idea what I'm going to say. I get thoughts going through my head, and I wish I would research out, but it seems like things pull me this way and pull me that way, and it makes it difficult. But I hope I can get the point across today. You know, how do I say this? Many times I believe that people think that, hey, become a Christian, because if you become a Christian, everything's going to be all perfect. You aren't going to have any more problems. God is like a genie in a bottle, and he makes all the problems disappear. Well, what if I told you you're going to have a lot of problems? What if I told you may have to give your life? Well, I'm going to tell you, many of the fleshly desires and things you have to do, you have to give up. Well, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, does it? Being a Christian isn't about having fun. Being a Christian isn't about seeking a sensation. It isn't about euphoria or euphoric feeling. It's not about like a drug you can take to feel better. Becoming a Christian is turning your life over from being centered on your flesh and the fulfillment of your flesh, of the fulfillment of the now, of the fulfillment of the possible 80 years you live, to eternity. That's what being a Christian is. It is going into a spiritual life. Whereas I like to compare being in the flesh is like a child down on the ground playing with a little tractor or a little car pushing around. When you become an adult, you don't want to do that anymore. Well, to a Christian, to a person who wants to live by the spiritual nature, no longer wants to get down and push around the car. The fleshly things become childish because they have no value. There is no eternal value in the satisfaction of the world over the things of the flesh. Satisfaction comes in spiritual things. Life comes in the spiritual things. You know, reason I was contemplating these things is because I've been going through a lot of things lately. And I'm saying, Father, God, how in the world can I get the spiritual things done? How can I do these things if I'm continually being distracted by all these things that are getting in the way? The Bible speaks of the little foxes that spoil the vine. And this morning, something kind of hit me. You know, you don't go to church necessarily to, how do I want to put it? Learn and grow, although it may have a factor in it. You grow from reading the Word, and you grow from trials and tribulations. They make you stronger. But people think, and I'm not demeaning this in any way, it's great to come into a service and you worship God and you have the peace of God. You get in touch with the presence of God. That is great. But so many times people like to do like the disciples did on the Mount of Transfiguration. Hey, can we build some buildings? Can we just stay here? We want to stay here in the transfiguration on the mountain and all the cool things. We don't want to suffer tribulation. We don't want to suffer trials. We don't want the hard things. We don't want to die to the flesh. We want to live in the good times. Christianity is not about the sensationalism, the fun stuff. When you are in worship and you're in the presence of God, it's a time of rest in God. And it's great. But that's not what we are to seek living. When we get to heaven, we're going to live in that. So what I'm getting at, found out that in fighting all these little things that are pulling me down and aggravating me, maybe that's for my growth. Maybe I should not run and worry about who else I can help out, but what about maybe that's for me? But because, I am no better than anyone out there. And preachers and ministers and all over that write the books and get out on a stage and all these things, they are people too. They are human too. They don't have all the answers, but they know who does have the answers. They know where to point you to the answer. So, I guess what I'm trying to say, when you battle things and you think you need to be somewhere else and you're in this difficult struggle, let it be an opportunity. An opportunity to grow. To die to the flesh. See, we talk about all revival and things. We need to die to the flesh and live in the Spirit. Be led by the Spirit. So many times we are led by the flesh. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm thirsty. I'm this. I'm that. That is being led by the flesh. And I believe that's where we fail to see a lot of the miraculous things of God. Because we fail to be led by the Spirit because we are too busy being led by the flesh. So anyway, I thought I'd hop on here and just go over some things like that. It was getting really frustrating to keep battling and keep fighting and keep battling and feel like, I don't feel spiritual. I'm trying to talk down into the common man's world where, that's where we're at. That we face things every day. And how do we handle those things? Do we allow those things to build character in us? Or do we grumble and complain about them and not learn from those experiences? Because we're not always going to walk on the mountaintops. We're not going to always walk in these. I got a friend that it seems like everywhere he goes, his antenna's up. And he'll talk to his wife, says, "Do you have a word for that person?" And I'm sitting there thinking, boy, how do I get there? How do I get to that place that no matter where I go, my antenna is always up spiritually to be able to connect? Because I allow myself to be attached too much to the flesh. I am learning that. And I think it's something we all need to learn. We're too attached to this world. We're too attached to the flesh. And if we want use the word revival, use the word outpouring, use what word you want, it all boils down to dying to the flesh and the trials and the tribulations we may have to bear to be able to, our spirit man, to get strong. Okay, I probably forgot many of the things I wanted to say, but that's basically the point I was trying to bring across, that we need to put our eyes on the Spirit, be led by the Spirit and not the flesh. Because if we get led by the flesh will bring us down and we'll get down the molly grubs. We need to get, even if we're going through a hard, difficult time. What was it that Job said? Though he slay me, I will worship him. We need that attitude. And not, oh God, why is this happening to me? Oh God, why is this happening to me? Oh God, why? We get so focused on this flesh, and that's not good. We need to focus on Him. And though we walk through difficult trials and battles, hang on, hang on, hang on to God. Because one day we will be out of this world. We will be in our eternal home. This world is so minute on the time frame, the eternal time frame. This world has the physical has no eternal value. Spiritual has eternal value. Okay, so I believe I went on enough. I hope somebody got something out of this, so that we all fight battles. We don't always walk in this mountaintop experience. We're not always on the mountain of transfiguration. We go through physical battles each and every day. We may get something that angers us. We may get something that just irritates us, and constantly, how do we deal with that? Do we look to the spiritual aspect rather than lean on the flesh? We need to learn that. That's how we grow. And then when we go to a worship service, we can fall into the rest. That rest that God offers us, that we may go out and continue to fight the battles. All right, I hope this helps somebody. So I hope you all have a blessed day. Thank you. Bye.